Hi, my name is Roger Keane. I'm the elementary music teacher and band teacher at Midway Elementary School in Lexington, South Carolina, and today I'm going to teach you how to build your own musical instrument from stuff you might have lying around the house. This summertime, it's been a little tough for all of us because we might not get the chance to go out to the park or go play and kind of do the things we're used to doing in summer, but fortunately, we've now got a great opportunity to use our creativity to come up with really neat stuff to do with whatever might be lying around. So when most of us think about a musical instrument, we think about something like this trumpet. It's very fancy, it's very expensive, it might take a lot of lessons to learn how to play, and it plays stuff like this. And those instruments are really fun, and they're really cool, and when you get old enough, you can learn how to play those. But way back before any of these instruments were invented, people were still doing neat stuff with music. The first musical instrument was invented when our first ancestor, way back when, thousands of years ago, figured out that he or she could take a rock, or a stick, or a hollow log, and hit it, or blow across it, or shake it, and it would make a really neat sound, because that's all music is organized sound. And there are hundreds of things lying around your house, or your apartment, or your home, or the woods, or the street, that you can take and make into a musical instrument. And today, I'm going to show you a few of those. The first thing that we're going to need for our at-home instrument is a bass. We need something big and boomy and thumpy. So I got to thinking, what do I have lying around my house that's big and boomy and thumpy? What I came up with was this rainwater barrel. It just came in the mail yesterday, and we left it out in the yard so it didn't get a whole lot of rain in it, so I emptied it out, and I'm using it as my bass. Now, I can make a lot of different sounds just using this one big rainwater barrel. I can tap it on the side like this. It's got that big hollow sound. I can tap it up here where the plastic's a little thicker and use my wedding ring to give it a kind of a sound. Or I can use this part right here. It's kind of hard to see on the video because the light's not great today, but we've got some mesh that gives it this kind of snare drum sound. So that's three sounds that I can use just with my kind of rain barrel here. So I can play myself a little beat. That's a lot of fun. Now, you could use any kind of big hollow thing for your bass. Our ancestors probably used the hollow log. And they might have figured out that you could stretch a piece of cloth or a piece of animal skin more likely over it. A lot of percussion instruments that are even now used by people around the world are basically just an animal skin or a cloth stretched over a wooden frame. So what are some things that you have around your house that you could maybe use for your bass? Well, I'll give you a couple of ideas to start with. You could use any kind of barrel like this, any kind of container. You could use an upside down trash can. You could use Kirby on the outside. You could use a little smaller, but you could maybe use a big empty coffee canister, especially if there's no more coffee left in it. All those things would be really good boomy basses. Now next, we're going to move into the middle of our sound, and we're going to make our very own kitchen drum set. The next step in making our musical instrument is to make a kitchen drum set. Now, it doesn't have to be a kitchen drum set. I just think that the kitchen is where you find the best stuff for making musical instruments, because there are things that are wood and things that are plastic and things that are metal, and even, we'll see in a minute, things that are glass. But you want to be careful with those. And each one of those things makes a different sound. The word for that is timbre. Timbre is the kind of sound something makes. This timbre, when I hit the plastic, is a different timbre than when I hit the metal. And musicians have invented lots and lots of different ways to create different timbres or sounds. Now, what I've done for my musical drum set is I've taken a plastic cutting board that you would use for cutting up some vegetables or, tenderizing a piece of meat. And I've got 4 measuring cups, all from the same set, all made out of metal. They're pretty durable. And the only non-kitchen thing I have here are these 2 rhythm sticks that I got from school. I'm using these because they'll be loud enough to hear on the video, but you could use a couple of pencils, pens, markers, even some really sturdy twigs from outside. Bits of scrap wood you might have in the woodshed somewhere out back, but I'm using these just so y'all can hear what I'm playing. So I'm going to use these for my kind of middle sound. They're not going to be as low as my big rain barrel bass, and they're not going to be as high as what we're going to use in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and experiment with a couple of my timbres. Here we go. First, let's see what our plastic sounds like. Kind of right there in the middle. Let's try one of our metals. Ooh, I like that a lot. And you know, this is a good sturdy set. You want to make sure that whatever you're making your instrument up with is going to be able to handle what you're doing to it. We don't want to have to replace anything, but this one can take it. Let's see if any of the other ones sound a little bit different. I'm going to kind of lay them up big to small, left to right. So I've got a cup, a half cup, a third of a cup, and a quarter of a cup. Let's see what kind of sounds we get from each of those. Oh, that was different. Now that shows you one of the very basic rules of music. This is true no matter what instrument we're using. We could be using a stringed instrument, we could be using a wind instrument that you blow into, or we could be using one of these percussion instruments, and here's that rule. The smaller something is, the higher its pitch is going to be. We can hear that our big full-size cup measure is a little bit lower than our quarter cup. So you can do a lot of playing around with that. I'm going to do a little song that goes up and a song that goes down. Here we go. That's kind of cool. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make this a bit of a drum set. I'm going to use my big rainwater barrel bass. You can't really see it, but it's right here, kind of underneath the camera, so we can get it in view. And I'm going to use my drum set over here and see if I can make something happen. Here we go. Ready? Ooh, I kind of got the table there by mistake, and that created a different timbre, didn't it? That's really cool. Well, we've got one more thing left to do. We've got a big boomy bass, and we've got our little drum set. But it would be cool if we could come up with an at-home instrument that could play a melody, that could play a song. Now, those are harder to do. It's a little trickier to invent instruments with what you have lying around that can make different notes. But I do know one way, and we're going to learn that next. Alright, we have one last component, that means part of our build your own musical instrument, and that is the melody. Now, a melody means that the song has more than one note. If I sing, Mary had a little lamb, that's not really very interesting. It's not a melody because it's just one note. But if I sing, Mary had a little lamb, all of a sudden I've got a song that I could hum or whistle or kind of think about in my head. Now, making things play different notes is a little trickier than just finding something to make a really neat timbre. But there is a way you can do that at home with no training at all, and here's how you do it. You're going to need some stemware, right? Some glasses with stems on them. And if you remember from our last little bit where we learned about the drum set, you'll remember that different amounts of something can create a different pitch, higher or lower. So I've filled these 4 glasses with stems with different amounts of water. I've got the most water over here in glass number 1. I've got the least water over here in glass number 4. I've got 2 ceramic measuring spoons that I'm going to play very lightly on the rim of the glass, and let's see what happens. I can make it play the first 4 notes of a scale like you would see on a piano or another instrument. So now I can play a song. Okay, I have to take a second to remember my song. Here we go. Kind of a creepy sound, isn't it? It's a little bit different and it's jangly and weird, but it's kind of neat. So you can play around at the sink with as many glasses as you have, filling them up with different levels of water and finding different notes, and you can make yourself a song with it. Now you want to be careful while you do this, because obviously this is the most fragile of all of the things that we've done today. It could break easily if you hit it too hard and you can crack it. But as long as you use something that's not too heavy, not too thick, you could even use a metal measuring spoon. I just use my ceramic ones because I have them and I like the ringing sound they make. You can play different melodies and songs with that. We could even do Mary Had a Little Lamb, the song that I hummed for you or sang for you a minute ago. Now, it's time for us to put all of these together. Well, I hope you guys had as much fun listening to that as I had making it. That was a blast. So what we've done today is we made an ensemble using just stuff that's kind of lying around the kitchen or outside. And the cool thing about this project is that that is one possibility out of 1,000. Every one of you guys has different things in your yard, in your house, in your apartment, different stuff lying around the neighborhood that you guys can put together to make up your very own instrument. The possibilities are endless. And so I hope that you guys spend some time this summer using your creativity to make your own music. I have really enjoyed presenting this to you all, and I hope you have a wonderful summer.